I suspect that many of us grew up in families and in environments where we were not encouraged necessarily to experience our full range of emotions. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today. And I want to talk about poetry's very particular role, I think a very positive role in allowing us to feel the depth of our emotions. The way I talk about it sometimes is to bring together the intellect with our heart, our emotional lives. And that's what we're going to talk about today on Dale Byron on Poetry. So let's jump right in. The poem is called, that we're featuring today is called Our Beautiful Red Border Collie. Our Beautiful Red Border Collie. And it's a short poem. It goes like this. Yesterday, our beautiful red border collie, Rusty, was run over and killed by a speeding driver on Midvale between Shoreline and Shasta. He was off leash. But on the side of the road next to his mom, who was almost hit along with our other dog. I'm very hurt and angry about this. This could have been you or your child. More details soon. More details soon. I have to go tell my son that Rusty is dead. I have to go tell my son that Rusty is dead. Now, I want to tell you a few things about that poem, but I think the most important is that I believe a poem like this, for me, and other good poems, allows us to step inside the poem and have our own experience. And often that experience can not just be about ideas or the intellect or facts, but we can actually experience what the writer, what the protagonist in the poem is experiencing. In this case, both anger and deep sadness and grief. Not only of the dad in this particular poem as it's written, but also, of course, of the whole family and their loss of this beloved pet, their dog. I want to tell you an interesting thing about this poem. It was a found poem. That poem is actually word for word what appeared in a neighborhood bulletin and some years ago, but that's exactly word for word. The only thing I did were the line breaks, and so it is a full found poem, and I think, in my own estimation, one that I am able to walk inside of and have my own experience. You know, I think we intuitively get the fact that knowing about something, in other words, knowing about the facts, knowing the intellectual idea of something, is way different than actually knowing something. So knowing about something is different than knowing it. And from my perspective, I would say knowing it is more like that we feel it viscerally, that we know it in our bones, in other words. And again, it's more a head and heart affair when we know something and not just we know about the facts of something. And I think in our world today, more and more, we're being called to know the world, to be able to bring head and heart together. Head, the intellect, the ideas, very important, of course, but also heart, the feeling of it, the visceral sense of it, the intuition of it. Those are all incredibly important. And I think poetry does an amazing job, quite honestly, in bringing those things together. And it's the reason that I fell in love with poetry myself. Our beautiful red border collie again. The poem goes like this. Yesterday, our beautiful red border collie, Rusty, was run over and killed by a speeding driver on Midvale between Shoreline and Shasta. He was off leash. He was off leash, but on the side of the road next to his mom, who was almost hit along with our other dog. I'm very hurt and angry about this. I'm very hurt and angry about this. This could have been you or your child. This could have been you or your child. More details soon. I have to go tell my son that Rusty is dead. I have to go tell my son that Rusty is dead. Thank you so much for your listening ear. Until next time and next poem, please take good care of yourself. And if you can, someone else. And one final thing, of course, if you know others that might appreciate this approach to poetry that we take on this podcast, then of course, pass it along to them as well. That would be great. Thanks again.